back to another episode of the Positive Tribe podcast, and today our guest is our host as well.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel.
That's right. No, today we wanted to kind of interview Daniel. We're going to take turns interviewing a few of us. You know, maybe we'll try and get our spouses on as well. But
good luck.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, but today we wanted to kind of talk about Dan's life. You know, where he came from, what he's been up to, and stuff like that. So. And we always start our episodes off with a little positive story. Today it's actually about Dan and myself and our spouses. It's just a funny memory, a cool memory that I had that popped up when I was thinking about this. But it's short. But last Christmas we kind of got into a little gift battle, and it was really it was actually pretty fun. So. Someone stopped by our house and dropped off a gift while we were gone, and my siblings. I'm still living with my parents while my house is being built, and that's taking forever. That's another story. But my siblings or my mom, I can't remember who it was, but like, yeah, someone dropped this off, and it must have been my siblings, I think, but because they didn't know who it was, and they didn't leave a name on it or anything, and so me and my wife, we opened it up, and there was a blanket, and I can't remember what else it was. Was it just a blanket and a note or something? I can't remember, but
I think it was blanket, a note, maybe a treat or something.
Yeah, a treat or something.
It was like a candy bar or something.
Yeah.
We didn't want it to be
exactly.
too specific.
They didn't want it to be too obvious of who dropped it off, and so that's nice, that's cool. And then my wife started looking at the blanket in more, closer up and a little more detail, and she noticed there's like custom pictures of us on the blanket, like pictures they pulled off of Facebook, and then they added funny things to them, and they're like, what the heck? And so we looked at it closer, and we noticed Dan and his wife Shanna were in one of the pictures, like, that's who it was. And so me and my wife kind of schemed up another thing that we could do to return the favor. And so I don't have any Photoshop skills at all, so I got a picture of this huge bodybuilder, and then I just kind of put my that was
you did.
I did. That was something else.
Yeah, no, you.
Okay, I'm getting mixed up. So what I did was I got a picture of Dan and Shanna, and I
made us royal.
Yeah, I got a picture of like a king and a queen, and then I put their faces over the king and the queen. And
printed it out,
put it on a frame, and we dropped that off. So
yeah, and it is on our TV stand above everything in the center.
That's right. So
we let everybody see that.
So I don't know, it was kind of funny, and then we kind of posted on Facebook. I can't remember who posted it, but I remember Dan said something like, until next year. And so I think this is going to be a traditional thing of doing a kind of a gag gift, but kind of a special gift too. So yeah. Anyways, that's
have you even thought about what you're doing this year?
I actually have. When it was a couple weeks ago, I was like, I gotta start. I didn't think of anything specific, but I started thinking of ideas that I could possibly do. But
well, so we were thinking like right after we got the other one done.
Yeah.
Like
you already had something going.
We got to figure something out, and the problem is we have to top it.
Exactly.
That's the difficult.
So each year
part.
it's going to get bigger and better.
And so and it's something that we look forward to. It's something that's exciting, positive, and
makes.
You opened it up. It was a surprise. You enjoyed it, and then you realized who it was from, and then you're like, okay, and then you wanted to return that and that favor. And
so I don't know, around Christmas time, or if your friend's birthday, can maybe try going out of the normal. I mean, they started, and I really love the idea, and it's something that's other than here's a little gift basket of treats or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, who wants soap every year?
Exactly, soap.
Okay, some people probably do want soap.
Yep.
Not me.
I may need soap, but
I'm pretty picky with soap, so I don't give me soap.
Yep.
Anyway.
So that's our story.
That's awesome.
It's kind of one of the fun things that we've been involved in.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to dive into your life a little bit.
I don't know if we want
all
to.
The goods, the bads. Just kidding.
And the uglies.
So, I don't know, maybe just start off by where you grew up. I know you grew up here in Enterprise, but maybe talk a little bit about where you've been and stuff like that.
So my dad was in the Air Force. We did travel back and forth a little bit.
I don't know if I knew that, actually.
Yeah, so he was stationed up at Hill Air Force Base in Layton. So a lot of my pre-elementary years was spent living up in
Like on base?
Well, so we spent some time on base and some
okay.
in Layton and some in Clearfield. We kind of moved around a little bit. Every time he'd get, sent to another base, we would move back down here for 6 months, a year, or however long he's deployed. And then when he would come back, then we'd move back up there. And he finished off his career, and we lived in Layton for a while. And then my parents actually got divorced at that point. And I was...
That was around elementary time for you?
That was, right as I got into junior high. So that was 7th grade,
gotcha.
Going into 8th grade when they got divorced. So we moved back down here. My dad stayed up there. I went with my mom. All the younger kids stayed with my mom, and the older kids stayed with my dad. And which kind of sucked because both my brothers were older than me, and they stayed up there. And then all my sisters, all 3 of them, came down with me, so I was in a house full of girls.
Full of girls, yeah.
That's some guys' dreams, no. But
how many kids are in your family?
So there's 6 total. I have 2 brothers and then 3 sisters.
Okay.
I'm kind of tied for center almost. I'm just below center,
right.
Middle child, and but that really helps you to grow up, because it's you are the male.
The male figure in the house.
And it's like, even though it doesn't seem like it, your siblings are still looking up to you as the older sibling, even if they say that they're whatever, and or they just sit and complain and stuff. They still look up to you. I mean, my youngest sister actually wrote a paper on me in school. About her funny brother. And I actually have that saved on my Google Drive.
That's awesome.
But anyways, it's so when I got to 8th grade, I was living down here in Enterprise, went through high school here in Enterprise, and then moved back to Salt Lake to get out, start my life and everything. Lived up there for about 3-4 years. Decided, nope, that's it. Couldn't do it.
Were you married up in Salt Lake, or that before you got married?
This was all, I was single. I was just living the life as a single bachelor. Not really doing the bachelor scene.
Didn't enjoy it up there, though?
No, well, I did. I liked
some aspects.
Maybe. I liked spending the time, with my family and stuff up there, because both my brothers were living up there. So I was able to see them a lot, and I was actually living with one of them for about 1.5 years.
Oh, okay.
And then I got a roommate, and we moved into this townhome down in Murray, and I was still working the same job. The whole time I was up there, I worked one job. And decided that Salt Lake just wasn't for me. The wages weren't for me. And I moved back down here, got a job in St. George, lived in St. George for a while, and then met my wife. And we got married, had my daughter, moved back up here to Enterprise for a little bit. And then my job relocated me back to Salt Lake.
Oh, really?
And worked up there. I decided, once again, couldn't do it. I don't know what it is. Salt Lake's a great place to visit.
Yeah.
I couldn't live there. I think it's the traffic and just everything. It's just too much for me.
A lot of people. Yeah.
And so I was like, we decided to just forget about it, and we moved back down here. I switched companies, and that's where I'm at now.
Okay. So, so you've been up and all over the state of Utah.
Up and back. Up and back.
So what? Back to your teenage years, what type of teenager were you? Were you the outgoing kid, the shy kid? What were you involved in?
So I wouldn't say that I was an outgoing kid, but I wasn't shy either.
Yeah.
I had friends. I said hi to almost everybody. Right. I didn't really hide away. I was in band. I was in choir. I was in drama. Yes, I experienced all of
I was a band nerd.
But what did you play?
I played the saxophone.
Oh, see, I wasn't that cool. I played the trombone.
Hey, I think the trombone's
cool. So, well, it was fun because I started that in 7th grade.
Yeah. And
I played it all the way till 10th grade.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started getting into doing the whole computer side of things. I was doing computer classes from 8th grade on, but I had 3 or 4 different computer classes that I was taking in high school still, and then I had my work release. So I was getting time off from school to start working.
Yeah.
And so it's I wasn't a popular kid. If you've seen the episode with Cameron Formaster, he was definitely the popular kid.
I wasn't either.
But it's like I knew about everybody, and everybody kind of knew about me.
Yeah.
But I didn't really socialize
right.
a ton. So
Right. Cool.
we had our Halo guys.
Halo parties, yeah.
Halo parties, yeah.
That's right.
That was the thing. So
Yeah, no, I love Halo. That's on the classic old Xbox.
well, actually, Halo 2 was the game we played all the time.
Okay.
When Halo 3 came out, we still played Halo 2.
Right.
So.
Yep. So what was your favorite childhood memory that you can think of, or one of them, or
you know,
something that sticks out?
there's so many different ones. Like when we actually got the whole family together, we would go to like Cherry Hill up there in Fruit Heights, and that would be our summer vacation. We would either do Cherry Hill, or we would go up to Lava. Not Lava Hot Springs, but the other one up in Idaho. Now I can't even think of Craters of the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Craters of the Moon. And there's just a ton of lava flow out there with lava tubes and hikes. And, you know, that's what we would do. We would go to one of those two places for our summer vacation. We'd spend, you know, a week or so at either one of them.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you, a week of sitting in the water at Cherry Hill, you'll be as red as this shirt. Doesn't matter how much sunscreen I put on. I'm sure you have.
Yep, ginger here.
Yeah, so you know that's kind of when all my family got together, and we you know had those experiences as a family, not just on your own. Like, and now that I have a family of my own, you know, it's like a lot of the memories that I have are the vacations we take.
Right.
You know, the day-to-day things you don't really. It doesn't leave a mark.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't stain your memory very much. Unless you have a tiff or something like that, then those do.
Yep, those do.
But those aren't what you should be focusing on.
Right.
You know, it's like it's the positives in life that you should focus on, because then you'll have more of them.
Right.
So.
So I know you're pretty involved in like geology and rocks and stuff like that. Is that something that goes back to your childhood? Were you into that when you were a kid?
You know, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up. So what when I was a kid, like elementary, me and my dad, we would get up on Saturday mornings and we'd watch TV. Mm-hmm. And if I got up before 6 o'clock, I'd be able to watch this programming on the Outdoor Channel called Gold Fever.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's a prospecting TV series that was put together by a nationwide club. And they would go out to all these different places and go gold prospecting. Like, I had no intentions of ever doing it or anything like that, but just watching it, I was like intrigued.
Yeah, you're fascinated by it.
And I was like, so I would get up every weekend and we'd do that, and then we would sit and we would watch trucks and all those other car building shows and stuff, and Motor Trend. And so it's like that's how my weekend mornings were. Is I would be one of those kids that would get up crazy early just so that I could watch that show and spend that time with my dad.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
was your dad into that stuff too?
So he wasn't really into the prospecting stuff. I mean, he was definitely into the car stuff.
The car stuff I knew he was.
Which we kind of got into. I got a 58 Chevy pickup truck that was
parked outside. It's so
parked
cool.
outside, and it was one that he had picked up. He saw it in a field.
Oh, really?
And he's like, he talked to the guy that owned the land. And he's like, "Can I
Made
buy
him
that
an
truck?"
offer. Yeah.
And he's like, "Sure thing." And so he got that truck, and it was a project that we were working on, and so it's of course when he passed away, which was also during my high school time. It was left for me in his will.
And it's something you wanted to...
And so it's something I wanted to kind of keep going. And so I've been doing, little things to it here and there. It runs, it drives, it stops. That's an important thing. It didn't
stops and goes. That's all you need.
The one time it didn't stop, so I had to fix that. But, it's just those little things that kind of tie everything together and brings those memories.
Yeah.
So.
Was your dad pretty mechanically inclined then?
So when he was in the Air Force, his job, so he was a tech sergeant in the military. He did small engine repair and serviced all of the base vehicles and things like that. So he was one of the mechanics there.
Did you pick up some of those skills? You know how to do that? That's cool.
Yeah, I've definitely picked up a lot of that from him.
That's cool.
I was one of my brothers so 2 out of the 3 of the guys in my family knew how to change a tire. The other one didn't. But he was my other brother. He spent a lot of time on the computer and stuff, so he didn't really have that want to focus on
Everyone has
about
their
cars
thing.
and stuff. But he is the one that didn't know how to change. He knows how to change a tire now, but at the time, he had no idea. And so it's me and my other brother, though, we picked up that inclination for cars.
That's cool.
And that love of being able to work on your own vehicle. And
what do you plan to do with your truck?
What's
your long-term? My total restoration, or you want to keep it as it is?
So I don't want to do a total restoration, just because it's not an original truck right now. The motor's not even from that truck originally.
Oh, gotcha.
It's kind of been pieced together.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do a full restoration on it. I do want to keep, I want to improve some of the things and make some changes just so that it's, a good driving truck and something that you can just drive around on a daily if you want to.
Right.
Because right now I think I get maybe 6 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, I imagine.
And that's going downhill with tailwind.
With the tailwind, yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I definitely, my intentions are to fix it up, but not fully restore it. I don't want to, that you get way, you can spend 60, 80 grand on trying to restore something when you could spend 10 grand on just making it run good.
It nice and
make it
drivable.
Exactly. And be able to use it and not worry about getting scratches and stuff.
And do you want to? I assume you probably want to keep that in the family.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. It's going to be something that's going to stay in the family, and it's. I've had so many people come up and try to offer me money on it.
It's a nice truck,
and it's not. I'm never going to sell it.
Cool.
So.
Well, let's switch gears. Talk about how you and your wife met, maybe, and about that.
So me and my wife, we actually met on a church function.
Okay. Cool.
We were doing some. It was a singles adult thing.
Oh,
so we had met on that, and it was funny because I had arrived early and she arrived early, and she wasn't even planning on even going.
Oh,
and I was more going just to support my friend to get him going.
Right.
And we go in. She was sitting there in the corner, and. No, actually, we were sitting in the corner. She had came in later, but we had been sitting there, and then our leader had come in. We had been talking to him for a little bit, and then some other group came in. He went over and started talking to them, and then she came in and sat down, and then we went over and sat next to her and started chatting. She actually thought I was trying to set her up with my buddy.
Oh, really?
Which, him, Randall.
Randall. I was going to assume it was Randall.
And so it's like, she thought I was setting him up with him because I was just trying to have him involved in the conversation and stuff because I wanted him to kind of get out of his shell. But we had talked, and then we kind of got split up because when you get the whole group, they kind of split you into groups and you do different things.
You and your friend, or your friend?
No, me and Shanna.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Shanna. We got split up, and she got put in the other group, and I got put in this group. So we didn't get to see each other at all really that night. But as we were going around the night, we would,
make eye contact.
We'd make eye contact, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then about a day or so later, she had apparently Facebook stalked everybody with the name Daniel that she could find. And she's like, this has got to be him. And so she messaged me and was like, hey, and we started talking, and then we set up a date for the next Saturday. And then from that day on, we had seen each other every day.
That's how every my wife were. That's awesome.
So,
did she live in St. George?
Yep. She lived in St. George.
So about 45. Oh, you both lived in St. George.
We both lived in St. George at the time.
Okay.
And funny story is we were maybe 4 blocks away from each other.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's crazy.
And even looking back at where we were living throughout our lives, it's like we were living within maybe 10, 15 miles of each other.
Really?
At multiple points in time.
Yeah.
And
never really crossed paths.
But never really crossed paths.
Yeah,
it's funny because me and my cousin used to hang out at one of his grandma's houses in Cedar.
Mm-hmm.
Her grandparents lived 2 blocks away from her.
Oh, really?
And so we were constantly, we were physically walking. Me and my cousin would walk past her grandparents' house every time we would go to the grocery store or anything.
At some point, she probably was there and you didn't see her.
Exactly. And she's like, she spent time at SUU in Cedar, and that's when I was living down here and was going to Cedar all the time. And so it's like we had so many chances to cross paths, but we never did.
Yeah. Huh, that's crazy.
So it's a long story, but it was
a
lot of time where we could have met,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't the right time because I don't think either of us were mature enough at
Right.
that
That's
point until we finally did meet.
yeah.
So.
I believe that too. Me and my wife met super young, and we weren't mature enough, but it worked out. So from the time that you guys met, did you guys court a long time, or did you get married pretty fast, or?
So no, we didn't. We actually it was probably we met in. So maybe 6 months from when we met, we got married.
Oh, nice.
Like it took more of convincing her parents.
Yeah.
More than anything, because she was living with her parents. I was out on my own.
Yeah.
And her parents are very controlling, and so it was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work
to convince them, and like especially when they found out, like. Oh, I didn't go to college. I didn't serve a church mission. I didn't, all this stuff. And
right.
So like, oh, he's not going to be good for you. Don't just.
That's bad stigma in Utah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and they were trying to just completely keep me from dating her and stuff. But every day we at least get together for 10, 15 minutes just to say hi, and. Even if she was sick or if I was sick, one of us would be coming over and just
still seeing
each other.
Yeah.
Just so that because when you fall in love, you fall in love.
Yeah,
it's like
you
that's
both
how it
know
is. It
was right, so
exactly
nothing's going to keep you apart.
Exactly,
Yeah.
And so against her parents' best wishes, I went to.
Did you guys elope?
No.
Okay.
No, we actually had a full ceremony and we got married in the church's temple and all that stuff. And,
yeah.
But we had a reception and we
so
did the
it
thing.
worked out with the parents.
It worked out. Yeah. Well, I ended up going and talking to her dad and doing the whole formal thing.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Well, just take good care of her and things and." Gave me his wishes.
Yeah, good.
And it was more just because I had the courage, I think, to go and talk to
him.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
Because even to this day, they still don't want us together.
That's too bad.
But that's just because of how controlling they are.
Yeah.
And we've cut them off because of it.
Yeah.
Not because they're getting in between us, but because they try and interfere with everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, like her siblings. It's just they were just a negative.
Just kind of toxic.
And they were toxic, and that's things we've talked about in some other podcasts.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do just have to let go of certain people.
Yeah, you can't bow down and appease to people that are trying to control your life. That's exactly. It's not healthy.
Because it was causing her stresses and anxieties, and it didn't help our relationship. And
that's
so
too bad. Yeah.
So we definitely
did what you had to do.
We did what we had to do.
Yeah.
And since then,
you're both happy, and
then she's had the stress off of her. She's felt a lot better. She hasn't had as much anxiety. She's gone off of her anxiety meds because she doesn't need them anymore.
That's good.
And it's you
gotta look out. You gotta look out for number one.
Yeah, because your personal, physical, and mental health should be the main priority.
Yeah. Yep. That's if you don't have that, what else do you have?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it's good that that's a cool story. I didn't know all of that. So let's see. We talked about how you and your wife met. This is just a random question to throw in there. What's an insult you've received in your life that you're proud of, or what's something that someone said about you that
I've had people tell me that I'm very egotistical, and while you having an ego can be a bad thing, but it's also what is self-confidence.
I was just going to say that.
Self-confidence is your ego.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have high self-confidence, you're going to have a bit of an ego.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's one thing to be like, oh, yeah, I'm better than you.
I was going to say, it's the way you portray your self-confidence or your ego.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, as long as you're not portraying...
Nothing wrong with being proud of yourself.
Exactly. As long as you're not, telling others off or that they're not as good as you.
Right.
That's a bad ego.
Right.
A good ego is having that knowledge and sharing that knowledge.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yeah, I like that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I follow, I don't know if you're familiar with Sean Whalen on Facebook.
He sounds familiar.
Anyways, he comes across as very egotistical, and he always says the same thing. He's like, hey, I know what I know, and I'm proud of it. And so, yeah, that's perfect. I like that. Great. What about your work life? What have you done in the past? What are you currently doing? What do you want to do?
So I have done everything from a call center agent working internet tech support, customer service, to growing rare earth metals into crystals that are used for solar panels on
That sounds
spaceships.
interesting.
Yeah, they're used for
Used on
solar.
spaceships?
Yeah, solar panels and spaceships. So the what's Elon Musk's satellite internet he's got going up in there?
Starlink.
The Starlink. So those satellites have my crystals on them.
Wow.
And then we also made lenses for night vision, like FLIR. FLIR uses our lenses.
Yeah.
And I did that for probably 7 years. And I was in. They had sent me to Canada to learn a new crystal and be able to create a new process using our existing process that we use, but with this other material. And I helped in the R&D of that. And increased the production of that. Gosh, probably 200 to 500 times the amount of usable material out of our crystals over what our sister company was doing.
So is that a Utah-based company, or is that...
No, so the company originally was a Utah-based company, but they got bought out by a company out of Montreal, Canada.
Oh, wow.
Which is why they sent me to Canada. And I spent like 3 months kind of on and off doing some R&D and learning how the crystals just worked on this other material so that we could implement it. So there was me and one other guy that were the base of that R&D and stuff, and it was a good experience. And
that sounds like something right up your alley. You know, the crystals, the rocks, and then
and
computers. I'm sure. I don't know what is all involved, but
yeah. And that's the thing is, it's like I had the technology background, I had the hard work ethic. Because before I even did call centers, I was working on a farm.
Yeah,
I worked on the farms here in Enterprise,
which is hard work,
which is very hard work. Because I mean, it was everything from picking weeds in a pumpkin field, cornfield, to picking the corn, picking the pumpkins.
Yeah.
And it's early work, it's hard work, and it's hot work.
All the above.
And so every one of you that do that,
hats off.
Because I've done it and I know exactly how hard it is.
Yeah.
So when I go to the grocery store and I'm buying fresh vegetables and fruits and stuff,
you're not taking it for granted.
I'm 100% not taking it for granted, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, it wasn't too bad. It was a good way to learn how to work.
Yeah. Yep.
And when you're in high school, a job is a job.
Yeah, right.
Because you're making money. I mean, that's something that every other kid in that school is not doing.
Yeah, so. That's true. And currently
I do garage doors.
Garage doors?
Yeah, I've been doing garage doors now for 6-7 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I'm actually the lead technician right now.
You always post before and afters, and
I do.
Yeah, I love that. I love before and afters. He does phenomenal work.
Yeah, I do before and afters of both doors that I couldn't fix and put in new doors, or doors that
you do fix.
Doors that I do fix.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so it's like it kind of amazes me sometimes what I can fix.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, I mean, there's been doors that have fallen on cars and stuff, and I've been able to get them up off the car without damaging the car more.
Right.
And then getting them back running, and then also making sure that, the customer knows that it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is it's like you can fix a door, but if something happened to that door before, that customer's going to have that in the back of their mind, and you need to comfort them and let them know that this door is fixed. You don't have to worry about that. And that's and with anything you do, you should always make sure that the customer has that assurance for anything.
I think that's lacking a little bit nowadays with people. I don't know, kids or young adults that are in jobs. They just go, they clock in, they do the minimal effort, but they don't really keep in mind that how important it is to to please the customer. And
without customers,
what
do you have?
Nothing. Yeah, exactly.
So you got to keep your customers happy and make sure that you're striving to do what you can do and go above and beyond, because that's what makes you stand out.
Yep. How long have you been doing the garage doors?
Like I said, about 6
years?
7 years, something like that, for 2 different companies. I got my main expertise with overhead door up in Bountiful, and they got me started in it and spent a couple of years working with them doing crazy stuff like airport hangars and everything from dock levelers, which is the things that lift up, drop into the back of the semi so they can drive forklifts in. And like high-speed doors that open and close in a matter of seconds. And I've worked in in sub-zero temperatures where they have doors that isolate different freezer temperature within cold storages.
You had no idea.
Yeah, and it's like, but I got to meet a lot of I meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
It's like people you don't like. So one of my customers was one of the founders of McGrath Hill, the school textbook companies. Wow. He lives here in southern Utah, and it's like somebody that you wouldn't normally expect to meet or anything, and you're like, wow, your books actually
you're behind
formed
all
me.
That. Yeah,
it's like your books formed me. Without your books, it's like what would they be teaching?
I remember that name now that you said that.
Yeah. So. And the thing is, it's like I meet all sorts of cool people, and then I get to see a lot of cool cars. Since I'm into cars,
say cars. Yeah,
I saw a McLaren Senna, which was crazy to see in person.
What's the price tag on one of those?
I would say $1.25 million, something like that. I might be wrong on that.
Somewhere in that ballpark, I'm sure.
But he was talking about he was actually trading it in at the end of the week for a McLaren P1. Which is a $2.5 million car or something like that. It's like, it's crazy, like some of the stuff that you get to see.
There's money in St. George.
Well, that was actually in Salt Lake.
Oh, Salt Lake. Yeah, there's money in Salt Lake too.
Yes, there's money in Utah.
There's money in Utah,
and that's why everybody's moving here.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fine by me. Because you guys want a better life. This is a better life.
It's a good state. Yep.
So.
That's awesome. Yeah, a little bit about all of your work history. That's awesome. What about influential people? Who's been someone that's influenced you?
There's been so many influencers people that have influenced me. But like in business, when it comes to the whole business side of things, the person that's influenced me the most is actually Patrick Bet-David.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, even though we've like never talked to each other or anything, it's just I've been watching his videos and podcast stuff and things since he pretty much first started.
I watched a few, but tell the listeners a little bit about what he does.
Yeah, so Patrick Bet-David, he is an entrepreneur. He was an Iranian refugee. He went to Germany for a few years with his parents, and then was finally able to come to the States. His dad worked at the 99-cent store, and he was going to school. And when he wasn't going to school, he was trying to drum up as much things for him to make money as possible because, they had come from, they were refugees. They wanted to come and make something of themselves. And so he started out by just collecting bottles from around a pool.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And, he was like, a nickel a bottle, That was good.
Money.
That's good money for a kid, especially back when he was doing it, And it progressed from there to he started working at a gym selling gym memberships. And from there, he decided he wanted to own gyms. He didn't want to just be And so he built himself. And then he started the financial company that he's with now doing life insurance, which is PHP, People Helping People. And his first video that he posted that went big was the life of an entrepreneur in like 1 minute or something, like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And it shows him getting up when it's still dark out, getting in his Ferrari, driving down the street, and he's just like totally out of it. And then he gets to the office and there's just so much commotion, and then it goes back to him going home. And then he gets inside, he hugs his wife, eats dinner, and then it shows him going to sleep. And it's like, and it's just that video exploded. And I mean, that video probably has 10 million views, if not more now.
Yeah.
And it's because it's, shows what it's really like.
Yeah.
You get the nice cars, you get the family, the big house,
they don't see
and everything.
the other side of it.
But you don't know that it's a lot of work.
Yep.
But he is constantly posting videos on like how to be successful in business, how to be successful in personal life, and just an overall of just how to be a good person.
Yeah.
And he has a bunch of guests on his show that are very controversial. I mean, he had Jerry Springer, he's had mafia boss. He had an FBI agent that took down that mafia boss,
Wow.
and like all these different people. And they explain, kind of their life and how things affected them. And like those two, like the mafia boss and the FBI agent, they became friends. Why he was trying to take him down. They became friends. They still talk to this day.
Wow.
Even though he took him down and arrested him, he's like, that's on me. I let you in too close. I shouldn't have, but you know what? That's fine. We're friends.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're family.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But it's crazy. Just I love to learn.
It's got a lot of good.
And he's got so much content out there.
Yeah.
That you could start your own business off of it, just the information he's given.
Right.
So.
Right. That's perfect.
But,
yeah, I watched a few of his things, but I need to go back and watch some more.
Yeah. And so, like, I would say he's the most inspirational for business. And like, there's other people out there, like, for this whole podcast stuff, the video and everything. The guy that got me really, excited about that is Sean Cannell. He does a lot of YouTube stuff. And he runs a company called Think Media, and he goes over cameras and lighting, audio, and just how to do everything, and run a profitable YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas I'm sure that.
And so that kind of helps with this stuff, and these are guys that it's not so much that I want to be them, but I strive to be them.
Yeah.
I strive to be like them in. Like how they handle everything, how like
it's good to have role models.
Yeah.
Because
it's like you don't want to be somebody else,
right?
Because you want to be yourself.
Right.
You need to be yourself so that you have your own personality. And because if you're just trying to copy everything somebody does, you're never going to be anything because you're just going to be a shadow of them.
You're not authentic.
Yep. So
awesome. Great. Another question for you. What's one of the hardest or most challenging experiences in your life?
So definitely I would say my whole middle school time, when my parents got divorced and then my dad passed away, I would say that would be the most challenging, honestly.
So from the time your parents got divorced to when your dad passed away, what was that time frame?
About 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, it was about 3 years. He got cancer. And it spread so quick that it was expected, because he has had cancer on and off, and he's gone and gotten treatments and gotten taken care of and stuff, and then it'd come back and they'd fix.
Yeah, right.
But then that last time it got into his spine and just spread
like crazy,
so fast, and so it was quick and sudden, and it sucked because those last few months, like we were living down here, and he was up there in a care center, and so it's like we couldn't go up all the time to see him and things. So
that would be hard.
The last time that we went up, it was basically our goodbyes, and it was shortly after my brother had gotten back off of his mission, and so we kind of all got together and went in and spent some time with him, one last time and things. But you can't ever prepare for that.
No.
Ever.
No.
So.
From the time that he got that last bad cancer bout to when he passed, what was that time frame?
That was about 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, it was right about 6 months.
But he lived up north, so.
But he lived up north, and
and
it was during the school year, so we couldn't just go up and see him.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, it's like we did get to take and go up and see him every once in a while, but it's still when you're you're losing someone, especially you want to spend as much time as you can, but you still have to do your daily stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. So. What are some takeaways from that? I mean, as a high schooler or a middle schooler, what was going through your mind that you remember? Life's not fair. That would go through my mind.
So it wasn't so much that life's not fair. It was more that. You wish that you would have had more time.
Yeah.
And I did have a little bout of depression. It wasn't like crazy bout of depression at that time. It wasn't until I actually moved out and started spending time back up by where he used to live and stuff, and going that's when I started having depression. And but I actually went, whenever I'd start feeling sad or anything, I'd just go to his graveside.
Yeah.
And I'd go, and that would change. That would, while it normally you would think it would make you sad, but it actually didn't. It's like,
it's kind of comforting.
Yeah, it was comforting. And so that was one of the things that I would do is I would just go and I'd sit there and be like, hey, I need help. What do I need to do with my life?
Right.
And, and that really changed a lot. And so when I moved back down here, I didn't have that time or that place to experience anymore to be able to overcome things. And so I kind of went through a couple different bouts of depression and stuff, but I never, got to a point where I was like super depressed. Like there's times where it's like I'll just close off and isolate myself.
Right.
Just because there's so much going on, I just have to close off and just figure it out.
Yeah.
And then once I figure it out, then I come right back out and I'm good.
Yeah.
There's just so much in this world, in this life that, it's not worth it to stay depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so whatever you need to do, even if you have to reach out and talk to somebody, do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've had friends that have gotten to the point where they pulled the trigger and it didn't fire. And that was their life-changing moment.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Because when you have a revolver, those things don't misfire.
Right.
But his did. And he's like, that was my wake up call.
Yeah.
He's like, there's something else out here for me. And
I'm made for something.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so that was his changing point.
Jeez.
And it's, he actually doesn't even live around here anymore. He lives up in Washington. We don't really, we talk every once in a while, but he's doing really good now.
Good.
And, it's like, but it's, you get to a point in your life where you're like, some people call it a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Other people call it depression. And,
right.
It's like, you get to a point where you need to figure out who you are, what you're doing. And once you figure that out, just strive to do that.
Yeah. As cliche as it sounds, your life calling, if you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really what's kept me from regressing back.
Yeah.
Is that I know I have a purpose. I know I have something I have to do.
Everyone does.
And I do. So.
Yep. That's amazing. I appreciate you sharing those deep feelings and stuff. All right, a little lighter question. Our emotions are all over the board a little bit. All right, if you won the lottery, or if you just came into a big windfall of cash, what would you buy?
We actually touched about this on another episode. It's actually we hadn't aired that episode yet.
Oh, okay.
So that one will be airing So it'll actually be the next episode after this one.
Oh, okay.
So, but we'll, sorry. Anyways, it's emotions.
What is this?
Right? Anyways, so if I was to win the lottery, I would probably find a nice wooded place, northern Idaho, northwestern United States in
Idaho's
general, maybe Montana, somewhere north where you're going to have more greenery, maybe someplace with gold.
Water. Gold.
Not Alaska. That's a little too cold for me.
Northern California, maybe?
Yeah, maybe if Northern California segregates from the southern part. But, it's like I would live pretty much any of the Northwest.
Yeah.
And just because there is good gold there, there's a lot of land out there and it's open.
Yeah.
And I would buy probably, I wouldn't need a lot, maybe 10 acres, 15 acres is plenty. Just build a nice little house, have a garden.
Build a massive wall around it.
Or something, maybe build the castle on it with a moat around it, yeah. And, my garage is probably going to be as big as my house.
I was going to say, you got to have some cars.
Because I'm going to still have my truck, and then I'm going to have, my car and then my wife's car.
Yeah.
And then when the kids get bigger, they're going to have a car. And so we'll have to have I'll make them park in the driveway. But yeah, no, I'd have a decent-sized garage because I would do a lot of the work myself. So I'd have to have a lift in there and things. So
that would be fun.
But, that's what I'd just homestead, basically. And more. I wouldn't say live off the land because I still like to be connected to things,
Yeah,
power,
exactly.
water, sewage.
Yeah,
There's
don't want to be off grid.
necessities that I feel I need.
Yeah.
Even though I probably could by without them, but yeah, and that's and then
Yeah.
I would whatever I had beyond that, which I would have, especially if I won the lottery, I would continue doing stuff like this.
Yeah. Oh, this would be fun.
Improving the world, it's like I might not be doing like those crazy relief efforts in all these other countries
Right.
and stuff, but maybe I would.
Yeah.
But it's like I would definitely put in some effort to just help build everything around me, and build everybody up and create a more pleasant place to live.
So we have an idea. If 1 million of you want to donate $10, we'll go. We'll go buy some land, build a community.
At that rate, we'd probably buy half a state.
Yeah, that's right.
And every one of you guys could just come and join.
That's awesome.
But
that's cool. That's kind of along my line. I love land, so that'd be fun.
yeah.
All right. Let's see. If you had to give a speech on anything 10 minutes prior to the speech happening, something you didn't need any preparation for, what would you feel confident giving a speech on, with little to no preparation?
Pretty much every topic we talk about.
Yeah.
Because we've got these little bullet points of stuff, but everything
Something
else
we're
is just
confident.
we're already it's like
Yeah.
something we've already done our research on.
So mental health or positivity,
positivities,
like
mental
that.
health. Just even I could even just sit here and talk about YouTube and how to do YouTube channel for
true.
half an hour, 45 or longer, or
Right.
even how to gold prospecting and things like that. I mean, I do that.
Yeah.
I have videos specifically for that on a separate YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so it's even cars. I
Right.
could sit and just talk about cars for hours.
Right.
And so really, there's not just one.
Yeah. Yep. There's a few. That's awesome. What about anyone you can meet, past or present? Anyone famous or anyone a relative that passed away? That
it's funny. If I could meet anyone, that's tough because there's so many wise people out there.
Yeah.
But all these people that we call wise, we already have all the information they can give us.
That's true. I never thought about that.
Because all these quotes they left behind and their books, their novels, and things that they've put out there.
Or someone you want to have a sit-down chat with and just pick their brain.
And that's the thing is, if I could sit down and pick somebody's brain, it's I couldn't even, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, because there's just so much information already out there.
Yeah, everything's at our fingertips now.
Yeah, I mean, with the internet and stuff, it's like we can find anything almost.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, really, what I would almost want to say, I would want to go back and just talk to any world leaders.
World leaders?
Just world leaders in general. Yeah. And, and just get their mindset. Like, just figure out how they decided to become what they became. And
that's true.
Because, it takes a lot to become a world leader, whether it's, a president of the United States, communist leader of China or Russia, or, it's like even Hitler, it's like even all the terrible things that they've done, what made them want to be the person that they became.
Yeah.
And, it's you can learn a lot from somebody's history.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have guests on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Is so that we can learn
from their past.
From their past, from their accomplishments, their mistakes, their just what helped them through it, so that we can help, you guys.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So it's like, because I can almost guarantee you there was some trauma in Hitler's history.
Yeah.
I mean, there had to have been.
Yeah, he was one messed up guy, so he had to have some something
but everybody has issues.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to, I mean, we don't want to get too much into politics, but, it's like, there's just so much more to a person.
There's a reason why people tick the way they do.
Yeah, and I'm by not Hitler is a terrible person. Yeah, I am not praising him in any sense of the word, but it just it makes you wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly. Speaking of politics, did you vote for Trump or Biden? I'm just kidding.
So,
I'm just kidding.
on that bombshell, no, I'm just kidding.
All right. What about major regrets in life? Something you're like, I wish. I know. We talked about on our last episode that, I think it's our last episode that we shouldn't have regrets. But one thing you're like, I wish I would have done that differently.
The regrets. One thing. I've almost bought a house probably 20 times.
That's my real estate.
Exactly.
Why didn't I buy it before the market went way up?
Well, it wasn't even so much that. It was just that, like, I could have done it. Why didn't I do it?
Yeah.
And, there was always something that was holding me back. Like, before I got married, I had almost bought this house. It was on a golf course, like right on the back of a golf course. It was a bit dilapidated, but it was a short sale, and they wanted $45,000 for it. Okay.
You can't buy a lot. You can't
on a
buy
golf course.
On a golf course.
On a golf course. And really, I had a brand new roof already. They had started renovating the inside. So all I would have had to do is just
little pickup stuff.
Finish renovating the inside. And then maybe I do landscaping and stuff like that. But, it's like...
You can't even find a decent truck for $45,000 nowadays.
No, it's insane. And, but that was... Not buying that house was probably my biggest regret.
Yeah.
Because that house, like, it's not so much even the value, but I could have bought it.
I could have paid off so fast.
I could have paid it off doing the job I was doing. I was making $34,000 a year, $36,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which for being single, that's not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah.
My yearly income was almost the price of the house.
Yeah, exactly.
And but I could have done it, and I have two uncles that are contractors that could have helped me out with stuff.
Yep.
And and this was before I was doing garage doors, so I didn't really have much experience in a lot of that, but I did help my uncles and stuff with some of the houses they built and things. So I think my biggest regret is just not buying every one of those houses that I wanted to buy.
Yep.
Because if I would have bought them, I could have rented them out, I could have sold them. Because shoot, there was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo, townhome type thing that me and my wife almost bought. It was $110,000 at the time, and we were both working, and we were pulling in probably 50, almost $60,000 between the two of us, and the house was $110,000. So we're like, that's $700 a month payment. Tell me, anywhere
where are you gonna find that?
Yeah. Maybe if you're living out the back in a cardboard box somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't do that anymore.
No, those times are gone.
And it's like there's just all these little things, like all these little properties there. So in St. George, there's that. I don't know. You guys, some of you know, up where the Majestic Hills Elementary is out by Staley Farms.
Yeah.
So that whole subdivision that's going up the hill there that's fairly new, all that land was for sale for under $1 million.
Yep.
I think it was like $700,000 or something like that, and it was 100 and something acres.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so if I could get some investors, and I could probably buy it, but I was like, what am I going to do with that much land? I was like, I had no means of development. I didn't have any of that.
Same with out by where Big Shot Golf is.
Oh, yeah, where Desert Color and all that.
Yeah, that was super cheap at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Crazy.
That's why Sun River has all that other land on the other side.
Yeah.
But it's just, I wish I would have bought half of the houses I wanted to buy at the time.
Yep.
Because if I would have bought them, I would probably be set now.
Set differently, yep.
Exactly. But not just because I wouldn't be renting, because I'm just renting this place.
Yeah.
It's like, so I got all this money going out and nothing to show for it.
Right. Yeah.
So, but so if you have the means to make it happen, make it happen.
Yeah.
Just
pull the trigger on it. Do it. Don't think about it.
Because if you think about it, you're going to be coming up with reasons like, if you're single and you can do it, just do it. Don't be like, oh, well, if I get married, this is going to be my house. She's going to be moving into my house. She's not going to do it my way. And it's just, don't worry about that. Because you can always sell it and buy your house, as a family house, whatever.
That's true.
Because that was what kept me from buying that one, is I would build it, or I'd buy it and I'd fix it up and it'd be my house.
Right.
And then if I was, this was long before I met Shanna, but it's like if I was to marry somebody and have them move in, it wouldn't be our house. It would be my house.
Right.
So that was why I decided not to.
Yeah.
Dumbest reason.
So if any of you have a time machine, let us know.
Yeah, if anybody has a time machine, yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that's exactly my regret too, is real estate and not purchasing those. But yeah, what do you do? All right, we're wrapping it up here, but
we already talked about where I was going.
Yeah. Next question was if you could live anywhere, but he already went over that.
Yeah,
Idaho. We're gonna make it to Idaho one day. Yeah, but talking about his life and stuff, we want to hear from you guys in the comments. Just tell us a fun fact about yourself, something that not everyone knows, or a little background about yourself, just an interesting fact, and we want to hear a little bit about your guys' background. So
yeah, and then one of these days we'll get Derek up here and
that's right,
have him explain, and then like he said, potentially our wives.
And,
and we'll just keep doing this.
Yeah, you'll get to know all of us a little bit. The wives do a lot of behind the scenes. Shanna does a ton. She's been on a few, but yeah, she does all the social media and stuff. So we'll want to get to know her and go from there. Anything else you want to share?
I think that's my life in a nutshell.
Last question. Favorite color?
Growing up, it was mainly red.
Yeah.
So
cool. Well, that's Dan. You guys all know him. You go by. I've always wanted to ask you, is Dan or Daniel?
I've always gone by Dan.
Okay.
My grandma called me Danny. I hated it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Dan.
Yeah, it's just Dan. It's weird when people say Daniel because it's like wait,
so
there's
formal.
there's more syllables in here. But yeah, it's like the weirdest thing is when your kids use your actual name instead of dad or daddy.
My oldest boy there for a while, he used to call me Derek for like a year.
So weird, isn't it? My wife is like, she's like, I never hated my name more until my daughter started using it.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's just Dan.
All right, so now we know Dan.
But,
okay, well, appreciate you guys listening. That's another episode. We're going to wrap it up, and we'll see you guys next time.
Appreciate you watching. Have a good one.